All right, welcome everybody to Brighten Your Mind and Body at Home. We are so excited for you to join us to kick off the first of our three-part series in collaboration with TrueSport. Before we get started, we'd just like to go over a couple of housekeeping items. The first is that all listeners will be on mute just to minimize distractions and disruptions throughout the webinar. If you do have a question or comment during the webinar, there will be an opportunity, a question and answer segment of this webinar. We ask that you submit those questions through the question feature in GoToWebinar. The way that you'll access that feature is by looking to the right side of your screen and finding the control bar. On the control bar at the top, there's a red arrow. You'll click that arrow and you'll then see a question drop down. When you see that question drop down, select your question or comment, and that will be submitted right to our moderator, and she'll forward those questions on to us, and we'll be able to get to them. And additionally, we will be recording this webinar, so we'll be sharing the link in the next couple of days so that you're able to rewatch or share with your community. We'd like to take a brief moment just to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about our organizations. My name is Kayla Hammaker. I am a training and education program specialist with Disabled Sports USA. Disabled Sports USA is a nonprofit whose mission is to provide leadership and opportunities to individuals with disabilities through recreational, competition, and other programs. At this time, our organization is really focused on supporting our athlete community in any way that we can so that they're able to maintain a healthy, a positive, and a connected lifestyle at this time. And we're super excited to partner with TrueSport to really dive into some tips on how to maintain wellness and positivity during this time period. So I'll turn it over to Audrey now to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about TrueSport.
Thank you, Kayla, and hello everybody who's joining us. Just real quickly, TrueSport is an initiative of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency with a really simple and bold mission of changing the culture of youth sport by providing powerful education tools to equip young athletes with resources to build success and life skills on and off the field. We aim to empower young athletes to be great athletes and great people, as well as to educate and support parents and coaches on how they can actively and intentionally help create a more positive youth sport for all. So in partnering with organizations like Disabled Sports USA, we've been able to provide an in-depth look at youth sport with the help of experts ranging from nutritionists to sports psychologists on topics examining the performance values and health of youth athletes. Additionally, and this is the really exciting part, I think, about what we're doing today, is TrueSport honestly believes in the power of the athlete voice and is fortunate to be able to work with Olympic, Paralympic, and Team USA athletes in a wide range of sports who are inherently TrueSport champions and have incredible stories to share. So with us today, we have our TrueSport ambassador and two-time Paralympian Tyler Carter, and we are so excited to have him join us.
Hi, everyone. Just saying hi real quick. We'll get more to me later on, but I'm really happy to be here, and I'm sure it's going to be a great time.
Great. Thank you, Audrey and Tyler. So we're all facing a lot of uncertainty at this unprecedented time. As a lot of cities move into a mandate of shelter in place or stay at home, many of us are spending a good majority of our days inside of our homes. You know that gyms, recreational facilities, training facilities, and even many parks are being closed for use. And many of you are likely asking, how long is this going to be for? What am I supposed to do in my home all day? What's going to happen to my sport, my training? When will I get to return to play? And as we begin to figure out the answers to these questions and we adjust our routines to being in quarantine, it's really important to develop positive habits and to take this opportunity to redefine a means of achieving a positive and healthy lifestyle. And that's what we're here to help support today. Just remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together. We're all embracing this change together. We certainly understand that embracing this change and finding a new normal can be really difficult. And so we want to provide you with a few tips that we found beneficial in helping to bring positive flow to our days over the past couple of weeks. The first is to take mental breaks during the day by doing other activities. So Say you're in the middle of your workday or your school day, take a break to go for a walk. Finding an alternative means to being active is really important, and it's likely going to be different from what you're used to. So whether that means going for a walk or going for a run or a bike ride, if that's what you're able to do, or even engaging in so many of the virtual fitness classes that are being offered right now, that's really important. Another bit that we found helpful is breaking up your day by pursuing multiple hobbies and engaging in multiple hobbies. It's also really important to maintain a schedule for each day. So at the beginning of your day, set out your goals, what you'd like to accomplish, and that helps bring some structure into this setting where we all of a sudden have a lack of structure. It's also important to stay connected with your team, your friends, your coaches. This community has always been your support system and will continue to be your support system. And we're really fortunate that we have the technology today to remain connected, whether it's through FaceTime or Instagram or Zoom. We have lots of options. And there's also opportunity to engage in fun new activities, whether it's a virtual game night or just catching up with your friends in a virtual setting. There's also a lot of positive social media campaigns going around right now. So take advantage of them, whether it's a fitness challenge or just a general challenge being put out to engage in the community. And if you have furry friends at home, spend some time with them. Our furry friends are a great stress release for us. And finally, while we do have a lot of media and a lot of news coming our way, it's really important to also take some time to turn your electronics off and to disengage, to focus on topics other than what we're seeing in the media.
So as mentioned earlier, TrueSport, we are really fortunate in working not only with amazing organizations like Disabled Sports USA, but also in partnering with experts across many, many fields who help us sort of navigate best practices around some of the values that TrueSport speaks to. So one of the really incredible experts we are fortunate enough to work with is Nadia Kaiba, who is a registered social worker, expert in conflict resolution, and also the founder and president of Now What Facilitation. We have been in contact with her and several of our other experts during this time, just to see if they have any tips or tricks for managing close quarters in the home or finding ways to be a little more mindful over the next few weeks while we're in kind of a weird period. So we wanted to provide you all with a little clip from Nadia relating to mindfulness.
Bear with us just one moment as we get this pulled up for you.
Mindfulness is a tool that I encourage everyone to use. It's something that can help us with mental wellness. Mindfulness means that you're in the moment. So instead of thinking about all the things that you have to do or all the things that are going on in the world, taking a few minutes here and there throughout the day just to be mindful and to be grateful for what you do have. One thing that I love is being outside with social distancing, but still being outside and looking around and just thinking about what's going on. It's spring right now. There's a lot of things happening in nature, and really bringing your thoughts down to that level can help. So I would encourage you to do that. Get outside and try and be mindful several times a day.
So in addition to some of the tips from Nadia that she just provided, folks can find even more expert-based resources through the TrueSport Teach and TrueSport Learn sections of TrueSport.org, as well as through all TrueSport social media platforms. So here comes the fun part, the part I think that most people are wanting to dive into a little bit further. I want to go ahead and re-welcome our guest, Paralympic athlete Tyler Carter. Tyler, we are so grateful to have you join us today to share your experience with maintaining positive morale in your daily life and training while quarantine is happening. So I think to start, it would be good if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how quarantine is going for you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. Really happy that we got to get this together and present this to all of you, especially since we're all, or most of us, are stuck in our houses. So this is a good way to break up the day. I'm really happy to be, again, partnering with TrueSport and Disabled Sports USA, two organizations that mean a lot to me. Worked with them over the years. Disabled Sports USA helped get me into skiing. They were actually one of the big things that put me on this track, and TrueSport has allowed me, as I have found success in skiing, to push that on to other venues and interact with other groups and students about things that I love. It's really cool that I get to come and partner with all that. Quarantine's going fine. It's I can't say that I'm having the time of my life, but we're making the most of it, and I think that's a big thing. And what we were talking about earlier is that you got to make the most of this time, have to find a way to keep your sanity, and also just keep some sort of schedule going. I think the biggest indicator that I've been holed up in my house for a little bit is my beard has come back. So the fact that I don't have to go outside has led me to not shave much. So that's probably the biggest change at the moment. But I'm back in Pennsylvania right now, and I get to see my dog Rocky and my family all day. So that's a plus.
That's awesome. I agree. Time with furry friends is super important. I can't say I've grown out my beard, but we still have time. So I guess you had mentioned sort of having to find new routine, being adaptable to the situation we're in. So I'm curious, you have been sort of in the thick of training. I know you just came out of a season kind of into a down period anyways, but what have you been doing to adapt your training routine? Any creative equipment solutions you'd recommend? What's been going on there?
Yeah, my season, like many of my fellow athlete friends, doesn't matter if you're winter or summer sports, our seasons kind of just ended abruptly. I was supposed to have a nationals that got canceled, of course, like every other major event going on. So that was kind of a shock and a change of pace. So I entered my off season much quicker than I was anticipating. So I took some time to really relax, to recharge, to take care of myself. I had some lingering injuries, nothing serious, but just things that I was pushing off because I had to, that I now had an opportunity to let resolve. So that was kind of the big thing, making sure that my body was being taken care of. Training wise, I took a break. I think everyone needs to every once in a while. And after you finish a long season, it's good to give yourself a chance to recharge. But been really using a lot of body weight exercises. I mean, you can do that anywhere you want. Like, it doesn't matter. I've done it everywhere in the world that I've traveled. You can do stuff body weight. So whether it's push-ups, squats, core, you can do anywhere. Yoga has been great. I found waking up in the morning and doing some stretching, some yoga, some mindfulness has really been great at keeping myself centered, keeping focused on whatever goals that I might have in the future. Right now, it's kind of a in between relaxed period, but it's really important to find something to center yourself. So I think those have been the cool things. Probably the most exciting and interesting thing, I guess, that I've done is started using some of our living room furniture for exercises. So doing some bench presses with the couch and dips, and I haven't done the dog squat because I'm currently not wearing my prosthesis, but if Rocky lets me, maybe that will be in my future.
I love it. Well, and you and I had a chance to touch base, I think earlier this week, and a little bit the week before, just to see how we were doing and make sure you had what you needed to continue finding success. But I know you and I had touched on the concept that finding routine when you have an opportunity to just veg out can be really, really challenging. So do you have any recommendations for folks who maybe are having a harder time settling into finding a new routine?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, treat it like any other day before this all happened. So whatever you have going on, even if it's just a few things, try to get in that schedule. So wake up at relatively normal times, which I can't always say I've been doing, but we're better at that now. We're back on track. We took a little time where I was sleeping in a little longer than I normally do, but now I'm back on track. So still waking up at a normal time, trying to go to bed at a normal time, keeping that nutrition on point. That's really critical, making sure that you're getting your needs. Just because you're not moving and going out as much doesn't mean that you can slack on that. And for me, I try to bounce between a few things each day. So I go into the day and I'm like, okay, I have some emails I need to respond to, some work. So that's my work side. I have some school things to do. So we got a little school stuff. And then in between all that, I want to read because I'm here. There's not a lot to do. So I want to make sure I'm doing something that's productive for me outside of what I normally do. I don't normally have, a couple hours to sit down and read a book a day. now I do. So we're trying to do that. And then this is something that I've never ever said to like a school group I've ever talked to, but play some video games if that's something you want to do. Like honestly, like I've played more video games in the past few weeks than I have probably in the past 2 years. And I'm okay with that because I'm balancing it with other things. I think if you just keep doing the same thing over and over, like you're not switching between a few different activities, you're going to go nuts. So if you have like, 4 to 5 things you can do throughout the day and having a schedule of that, I think that's critical for during this weird period.
Sure. Well, and I think, you mentioning video games and finding time for doing things that you haven't normally been able to do, like reading a book, brings up a really helpful reminder, and one that Dr. Kevin Chapman, who we work with, has talked to a little bit through his social media, which is the concept of physical distancing versus social distancing, right? So I think keeping in mind that we are at a point where we're not being told, don't talk to anybody, shut your social life out completely. We're being told it's a good idea to practice some physical distancing at this point, just for the safety of those around us. But finding means of communicating and engaging with one another, and that may be through a video game, or I know we've had other athletes who have started book clubs where they're talking with each other after they read a book because they have time to do that now. Have been really great ways to see some of that social engagement continue moving forward, while still practicing what's being recommended to us for safety. So in staying connected in that mind thought, I'm curious, how are you staying connected more specifically with your friends and family?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing is I came back to Pennsylvania. I live in Colorado now, but before things got like really bad, I made the decision to come back to actually be with my family, and it was a better way for me to self-distance myself from other, friends and stuff, which unfortunately, we don't want to do, but it's necessary right now. For me, I've had more phone conversations and video chats than I've ever done in my life with friends, like just calling up a friend out of the blue saying, how's it going? What's happening with you today? Whether it's a 20-minute conversation or an hour one, that's been like huge. There's some friends that I play some games with off to the side, not video games, but just like a card game. And I do a once or twice a week video conference with them where for a couple hours we play our game instead of meeting up in person. And that's, just a way to keep in touch. Staying in touch with my friends at the training center that are, having their own environment over there in Colorado Springs, texting them. It's just, we're trying to do what we can. I think that's what everyone is, just trying to find a way to stay in tune and in touch with everyone.
That's awesome. And I think, in staying in touch and finding ways to remind yourself of sort of what's happening in the world, but I think also what's happening in your world with your friends and your family, those are the really good beginnings of practicing some of that mindfulness. I think the last question that I'm curious to know from you, maybe a little bit of personal gain in this one, before we open it up to everyone else to ask some great questions, is thinking about the practice of mindfulness. It can be a really tricky thing to do. It requires sort of focusing in on where you're at, what you're doing, and tuning out, even if just for a moment, sort of the chaos and news influx that's happening around us. So in what ways have you found success in practicing mindfulness?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, kind of starting my morning with a little meditation, a little stretch session, yoga or stretching, however you want to call it. That's been key for me. I came into this, it was a really weird time, and when I was talking with people before, we were kind of quarantined to our houses as things slowly started getting shut down, I said it's really weird. I don't really know how I feel, but it just kind of feels like everyone is, just off. Like it's really hard to describe it. And as this started, I knew that one, I needed to take time for myself because I'm normally go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I don't really take many breaks. It's like always bouncing from one thing to another. So I'm using this opportunity, this time, to make sure that I'm good, that I'm recentered, I'm set, so that when this all ends, I can come back with the energy and the intensity that I need to get back to everything that, you know, kind of got postponed. But in terms of just like daily right now, reading has been great. Going outside, while I'm not really at a point where I can just walk around the neighborhood, you know, going out a couple times a day, sitting on the porch, taking Rocky, my dog out, you know, those are all kind of things that I've tried to incorporate as much as I can. And again, just remembering that this will end. We will get to a point where things get better. Right now it's tough, but kind of keeping your eyes on the prize, you know, light at the end of the tunnel. And everything I said before this, you know, helps with this, with staying focused, staying on track. So, you know, having a schedule, you know, keeping your mind in a good spot, avoiding the news a little bit. I know it's kind of hard, but I really give myself the morning and the evening to kind of read up on what's going on if I choose to, but the rest of the day is my time. That's not to go and to research the news or watch the news 24/7, because it's, let's be honest, it's mostly the same stuff. You know, it's not changing a whole lot, and if it is, it's not really changing in the positive way. So I think you can take that mid chunk of the day and really just try to have a positive light on things.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. So I think at this time, we want to go ahead and invite those listening to ask some questions. It can be directly to Kayla or myself. You can ask Tyler. I will say we're going to focus on questions about at-home training to begin with. So if you have anything you'd like to ask Tyler about that to start, go ahead. Please feel free to type in the chat on the right side of your screen. We'll allow about 10 minutes of questions, and then we'll continue on.
All right, so I do see a question. Would you ever consider switching over to being an esports athlete? So I'm assuming that's, if my brother plays a lot more video games than me, so I'm assuming that's like Fortnite and all that stuff. No, I don't think I would consider being one like full time or even like streaming or any of that. To me, that's not my self-interest. I'm doing it more as something to keep my mind you know, distracted, keep it off of what's going on in the world. I think it's a great tool to use as, you know, in between your training sessions. But for me, that's just not where my focus is. But for those that are those athletes, that's awesome. And I wish the best to them.
It looks like there's one. Do you like cooking? If so, have you found any good recipes to share?
I wouldn't say I'm a great cook. I can make a few things, but it's not my specialty. Let's see, I love making smoothies. That's kind of my big thing. So I'm a big smoothie drinker. So I love like strawberry, banana, putting some Greek yogurt in there. I put protein powder with that because that's me. I, you know, need a little more protein in my diet to keep strong, but do that, even mix a few greens in there because apparently I'm told I don't eat enough vegetables. That's a whole different conversation. But so that's my big thing. I think one of my favorite recipes though, if we're being like talking straight up recipes, is doing chicken in the oven, super simple, some seasoning, some Italian dressing. I don't go crazy, and then rice and cut it up and making tacos. Like for me, I know it's super easy, it's super simple, but I love tacos, I love rice, and it's just a way that you're getting all the nutritional needs, but it's pretty straightforward and convenient and can last a little while. So
nice. That sounds really good right now. What are you doing to maintain cardio? That's an awesome question.
Oh.
I know I personally, it's been running up and down the stairs in my house. Like it's gotten real.
Cardio is the enemy in my mind. I know that I'm getting a lot of flack for that right now from people, but anyone that knows me really well knows I strongly dislike cardio, but that's an excellent question. Cardio is very important. I'm lucky and we have a spin bike in my house, so I'm able to utilize that. But I'd say any kind of HIIT training is really good to kind of get that cardio. It's not quite the same, but at least you're working your body and getting the system up. I think also, you know, going outside for a run or for a walk, as long as you're social distancing, is another good way to kind of hit that. But I am not a fan of cardio. Never have been.
Let's see. So let's see.
Okay, here's one I'll quick answer. Where did I learn to ski? I know this is a little off from what we're saying, but another amazing program, Pennsylvania Center for Adaptive Sports. They taught me how to ski at Camelback in Tannersville, Pennsylvania. That's where I learned how to ski and then got recruited out west. That's why I live in Colorado. But eventually that evolved into being with Disabled Sports USA at their Hartford Ski Spectacular. So it's kind of a long story into how I ended up here, but that's the short version.
Nice. I think Kayla, there's a good one that you may be able to answer. So wondering if you have any links for K through 12 athletes related to universal design / fitness movement resources or full body movements recommended for special populations.
Yeah, so that's a great question. We're actually currently working on developing some trainings that will incorporate that sort of information on how K through 12 teachers can involve students with disabilities. And some of that does speak to universal design as well. We haven't yet released that content. It's in the development phase, but it's coming soon and we're really looking forward to it. Otherwise, we are looking to develop some more webinars like this with this style to provide to teachers and community coaches that will provide them with information on how to be more inclusive of athletes with disabilities. So look out for some more content. We're excited to hear that you're interested in it.
Awesome. And then Tyler, jumping back to you, back into workout specific, we're being asked, do you have any specific workouts for skiing?
Ooh, that's a good one. So skiing specific workouts, it's really important that the whole body, is trained. Legs and core, I find, are the most important, but you want to be fully well-rounded. So making sure you're doing core, that's a big one because a lot of people don't realize how much core you use when you're skiing. So simple, laying in the, your living room or bedroom floor and doing, some half sit-ups, some bicycle crunches, leg lifts, arms to the side, cherry pickers, I like to call it, reaching for your feet. That sort of stuff is great. You can make a little mini circuit out of that. And then doing, some sort of squat combination, split squat, putting your foot on your couch or chair and doing, isolated single leg squats. Those are all really good things that are gonna, hit those muscles that you need for skiing. And, again, as long as you're moving, as long as you're doing something, that's a win, especially during this time. Anything you can get any little bit in the day, I take that as an absolute win. So don't be too hard on yourself. Just find something that you can do that feels good and you can do with what you have and go with that.
Nice. So in finding some of that inspiration for those workouts, someone has asked, there's two I think that go pretty well together, and Kayla, part of this will be for you. Do you have any favorite online workout videos on YouTube? And are there any good resources for adaptive yoga?
I personally don't have any online workout videos that I watch or follow, and I'm not sure on the adaptive yoga. Caleb might have some resources with that. But again, there's so many resources out there. You just got to find what works for you. If I'm ever kind of not sure what I want to do or what I need, I actually will just input in YouTube or Google what I'm looking to do, and then just see what pops up and then pull from there. I always love following The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I've loved his stuff, but most of his use a gym, so I can't use all that right now. But I take a lot of inspiration from his. But then again, I like he's really awesome, and I want to be like if I'm half as strong as him, that would be a win for the day. But
Nice.
Thank you, Tyler, and I'm happy to step in here as well. In regards to adaptive yoga, we've been working with a really great organization called Mind Body Solutions, and they have an online hub of classes that are featuring adaptive yoga that you're welcome to tap into. They're a really great group, and we're happy to share that link after this webinar so that you're able to access it. And in regards to other trainings, our organization is putting together a virtual events calendar that we will also send you the link to that features some of the trainings and fitness classes that our chapters are putting on, as well as some of the content that we're partnering with other individuals and organizations to produce. So there'll be a whole slew of opportunities there, and we're really excited to share them with you.
And I'd say from the TrueSport side, if you're looking for ways of engaging sort of the mental training or practicing some of the prep and recovery, diving into nutrition, there's some really great resources that we have out as well, including some of the lesson resources that work really well if you're coaching or if you're a parent looking to bring some of that mental training into the household. And there's also a lot of really great expert sourced articles and videos that can sort of help push forward that piece of the training. Let's see, Tyler. Since you mentioned bench pressing your couch, what has been your favorite living room exercise? And what does your summer of training typically look like?
Well, I got to say, bench pressing my couch was pretty awesome. It is not light. I don't know how much it is, but it was relatively heavy. So, like in terms of being in an awkward position, like being on the floor, I thought that was pretty cool. I have some other
Are you getting
things that
under your couch?
So I kind of pick it up. I get a little bit under, and then I kind of just do it from there. So again, I don't know if I can recommend that as like something everyone should do, but I like to be creative and sometimes push it a little bit. So that has been cool. I think one of the fun things though that I just started yesterday that I'm going to continue is using your steps. What I've done is I've turned like a burpee push-up complex into a like hop on the steps. So I'll jump down, do my push-up, burpee, jump up, and then jump on the steps, and then flip to the other side. So you're getting a little twist in there. I don't know if my explanation does it justice, but I was playing around with it, and it was pretty cool. So I think those are kind of the two things that I'm gonna build upon and see what else we can do with that.
When I'd say too, if you aren't already following Tyler on Instagram, he does share some really incredible compilation challenge workouts, I guess. Is that what you would call them, Tyler?
Something like that, yeah.
So if you're looking for a creative way to string things together, add a little bit of cardio with some of the strength in, definitely following Tyler on Instagram. You'll get entertained, but you'll also find creative ways of moving.
Yeah, absolutely. I did see a question here that I'll kind of quickly answer. I'm not wearing my prosthesis right now. I actually have a bit of a sore that's healing up on my leg. That's kind of why I'm taking time off, or I've changed my training schedule. But normally when I'm working out, I am wearing it. So I'm trying to make sure I'm using it for everything. I both switch between single leg isolated workouts to using both legs. Now, obviously, what I'm lifting or pressing on my prosthetic side is a different amount than my left leg, my good leg. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. But I try to be really creative and make sure that both are getting a good workout and balanced, and making sure I'm working the whole range of muscles so that they're strengthened as much as they can. Right now, I'm limiting how much legs I'm doing just because I don't want my right to get so far behind my left, but I'm doing what I can with that, and then hopefully soon we'll be back to normal with all of that.
Do you have a current playlist or favorite music you're rocking to stay motivated during indoor training?
Yes, that's a great question. Very important. You need a music. At least I do. Every workout I have to have music. It's not the same without it. I'd say my favorite is like my pop punk playlist, which going back to like when I was in school, middle school, high school, it was Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Green Day, Sum 41. Some of this you might know of, some of this you might not. I don't, that's for me what gets me pumped up. I tried a country playlist at the recommendation of a trainer, and it was terrible. It did not work for me at all. If country works for you, I give you a lot of props, but for me, no success. I've also started going through live albums I found of artists and working out to them. I found they kind of bring some intensity that you don't always get. So that's kind of what has been floating for me. I'd say One of my top workout songs, though, is going away from what I just said, is Lose Yourself by Eminem. I think a lot of people can get behind that one. And then staying in my like specific realm, High Hopes by Panic at the Disco is one that always gets me going. So.
Nice.
Great. And I hate to cut in here, but we are running up on time. Thank you everybody so much for those thought-provoking questions. And if we weren't able to get to your question, we will follow up in an email.
So we just wanted to make sure that sort of as we're coming out of this conversation, which honestly could go on forever, I think Tyler and I could go back and forth for hours. We have in the past, so we'll spare you that time. But there's a lot of really great resources out in the world, and they are constantly being added to and adapted. And so we just wanted to provide a short list of some of the resources about sports that you can get involved in. That includes some information about wellness, locating your local DSUSA chapter, as well as some of the TrueSport resources that I mentioned earlier. So you can check out those links if you have time, and you know, keep being out there, keep moving, and we'll get through this together.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you all for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure coming here, answering your questions, talking a little bit. If you have more questions that we haven't answered, there, Kayla will make sure you guys get an email, but you can also reach out to me through my social media. Instagram's kind of my favorite, so TC Ski USA. You can ask me any questions on there. Just really want to thank you for joining us. It's a weird time, but we're going to get through it. So stay active, stay healthy, and keep your spirits up.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. And thank you again to Tyler and Audrey for joining us. If you enjoyed this week's webinar, please tune in for our second of this three-part series next week. Next week, we'll be focusing more so on maintaining fitness while at home. Additionally, I just wanted to highlight a challenge that DSUSA is initiating right now. It's a social media challenge where we're encouraging everyone to post on how they're staying active at home. On social media, you can use the hashtag #AdaptAtHome and tag Disabled Sports USA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And finally, thank you again for joining us and tuning in. Thank you to Audrey and Tyler for being such great partners. We will be putting out some more content, as we said, and if you do have anything in particular that you'd like to hear about, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact info is listed on the slide here. And again, this webinar was recorded, so we'll share this in the next few days so that you're able to share with your community as well. And finally, to exit the webinar, you can find the X on the Control tab on the right side of your screen. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope you all have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. Thanks.